Good evening and welcome to another edition of AudioSnooze. This is a podcast that is designed to help you get to sleep, help you enjoy a restful night. If your mind is churning through things, constantly working over the tasks of the day, or over some regrets of the past, or some fears of the future, this is the podcast for you. How will we do this? What I propose to you is a bedtime story that is designed to seduce your insomnia into a nice sleep. It will occupy a part of your brain so that it keeps off of the triggers that continually awaken you. So while part of your brain is working over some of the story that I'm telling you, the other part of your brain can start to sleep and eventually drag the other half in with it. I'd like to thank you for joining us. This is something that creates a lot of joy in my heart to see people telling me that this has helped them get to sleep. I like the chance to help you. I hope this works for you. If you're an overthinker like I am, this is designed for you. If it doesn't help you, I'm sorry. I hope you find something that does. But if you have problems falling asleep or falling back asleep after waking up, this podcast should help you. It is not likely that it will keep you asleep, but it is designed to take your brain out of whatever woke you up. I thank you for joining us. We're a growing number of people that are here to do exactly that. Get more sleep, improve our life performance, improve our attitudes towards others. Sorry about that. Hope that didn't awaken you. But I'm recording this in the morning when I'm hopefully going to be able to go back to sleep. And obviously I didn't turn off my alarm before I started. I was going to reset my alarm because I had more of a chance to sleep today. So what's special about this is that I will meander along many topics, many subjects, and just like I've done so far, just keep your brain occupied without any significant statements or anything that will awaken your flight or fight responses like an alarm would. Hopefully that wasn't so late that you were already asleep. If you were, you probably weren't listening to this telecast. So, one of the things before we have our scenic Saturday recording, where we will be going to a location and I will be describing that location to you as a painter does. The subject that we will speak about before embarking on our escapade to wherever I end up going, I would like to speak with you about exercise and sleep and give you a little insight there. But sleep is enhanced by exercise, and it is something that will enable you to get better rest, even if you only exercise 10 minutes. Now, the exercise that you want to do is going to be cardio. That will enhance your sleep better than anything because it wears you out a bit. But you want to do this a couple hours or more before you sleep, because it will get the adrenaline moving, and that will keep you awake until the adrenaline falls out and the adrenaline level subsides and leaves you with just your tiredness from your exercise. It also will get blood flowing through areas of your muscles where you might have built up some lactic acid, which causes some pain and aching in your muscles. So that also can help you to fall asleep, because you will be in less pain and less aching. So before I fall asleep, let me tell you more about exercise and sleep. Exercise can improve your nighttime sleep, especially if you do it regularly. You can reduce your risk for developing sleep disorders like apnea and restless leg syndrome. There's a correlation between sleep apnea and being overweight. So exercise will also keep your weight down, as it consumes calories that would otherwise go to fat. You can do cycling, you can run, even brisk walking would help. It lowers stress as you think about other things, and it will tire you out. It will get your brain thinking about other things that are going on around you, hopefully paying attention to cars and other sights around you, which takes your mind off of whatever you are ruminating about. The early morning and afternoon exercise are probably the best, because they also can help reset the circadian rhythms. It will raise your body temperature slightly, and then a few hours later, as your body temperature falls, it can trigger the sleepiness response, and it can be helpful to also exercise outdoors instead of in your house, because if you exercise outdoors, you can allow your body to absorb some natural sunlight during the daytime. And it sometimes can be thought that if you are working out too vigorously, too close to bedtime, that you can stimulate the body. But exercising at night may depend on the individual's response. So you might be able to test out whether it keeps you more awake or not to exercise close to bedtime. But for me it did, so I stopped it. You might try it yourself. You might come home too exhausted from your exercise that you lay down on the bed and fall asleep quickly. But this is AudioSnooze is on Twitter, on Facebook, on the YouTube. So I'd like to hear from you. Tell me how this is working for you. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Get involved in our community. Share your successes and failures. Let's learn from each other. So I'd really like to hear from you. Really like to hear what's been beneficial. What do you want to hear more of? What don't you want to hear? What's triggering your mind to rest? And what's triggering your mind to waking? I want to avoid anything that's going to be detrimental to your sleep cycle. So let me know these things. Give me some information from you. Thanks a lot. And enjoying your exercise. That will also assist you in sleeping. So before we go much further, I'd like to thank those of you who have joined us on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. I hope you are enjoying yourselves and enjoying some of the dialogues that are occurring on those spaces. Please join us and give us your responses. Tell me how you did with the exercise. Did it help you? Did it not? Was it advantageous? Did it help you sleep? Did it help you stay asleep? But if you could share and participate in the knowledge, the school of knowledge that is developing around our groups on Facebook and LinkedIn and on YouTube. So look us up, AudioSnooze. Like us. Join us. Follow us. So now I'd like to start our evening of Scenic Saturday. So today we go to a mountain lake. It is a very peaceful place. It is late in the evening. The sun is going down, so the sky is red, pinkish, starting to turn dark. We are at a lake. There are ripples on the lake in In the distance, you see some mountains, and that is on the right side of the lake. On the left side of the lake is a forest, beautiful forest, with pine trees and others that I will paint for you. As I am your audio Picasso, audio Michelangelo, to try to give you a picture in your mind of what the scene is about. The lake, as I said, is very tranquil. Presently, there's nothing on the lake, so it is calm with slight ripples from the breeze that is blowing upon us. It's a gentle breeze upon our faces. It is a warm breeze from the sun that has been shining all day. In the lake, there are some boulders of granite, a gray stone pocked with white dots and lines and swirls. Not much in the way of swirls as it is granite, but they poke their heads out above the lake. The lake is reflecting the sky, where you don't have the darkness of the mountains or the forest, where you see the mountains and the forest reflecting. Of course, it is darker, allowing you to see through to the bottom of the lake, which is greenish and brownish. It goes from the light browns and tans of the rocks and sand of the shallow areas. And then as you get deeper into the water, it turns to shades of green caused by the algae of that lake. The lake has a dark green hue as it gets deeper and deeper. There's some fish that you can see in the shallows of the lake. Small fish darting here and there, playing around, nipping at each other, eating what they can find of bugs in the water. Then, in the distance, you see another darker stone boulder coming out of the lake. It's longer, wider, that is, and not so long. So it's a very extended oval, barely peaking itself above the water. The granite ones that I was describing before are geared towards the the shallows and the borders of the lake. Then there's further on towards on the left side of the lake, there is a long log. Looks like it's been there quite some time because there are no branches coming off that log. It fell and decomposed to only being a long straight pole. Then further along the borders of the lake, you can see some more of the white boulders surrounded by the green grass and weeds of the lake growing up right next to it. It's a beautiful green, lush green. This is a well-watered area where there's been a lot of fog in the past and mist coming off the lake and rain keeping everything green. There's also, beyond those plants along the margins of the stones, beyond them, there's a forest, as I said, with pine trees, which are the darker green of the forest, with a path, a dirt path going up into a part of the forest that's cut deeper in. The path goes up, winds its way up into the forest, and disappears in amongst the trees. There are lighter colored trees as well, with leaves on them instead of the needles of the conifers. And you can't tell from here what kind of trees they are, but there's a tree of very light green which is standing right next to a shrub of such light green that it's almost white, probably from some kind of flowers upon it. But the green tree is standing next to another one, which is also standing next to one that is topped with what looks to be an orangish leaves, signaling that fall is not too far ahead of us. Further on, there is some trees. There are some trees that are on a isthmus connecting one part of the lake, and an isthmus, not connecting it, it ends further on, and so it's actually, I guess, a peninsula that goes down into the lake, and the trees end there. Beyond that point is where the mountains begin. The mountains are gray, granite mountains, and it looks like some of the rain has started to fall as snow up in the mountains. Past rains right now, it's still a night, it's a clear night, but I'm saying that past snows have dusted the top of the mountains. Otherwise, the bases of the mountains are covered with these same trees, the pines of darker olive green and some fields of light green, but spots here and there are whitish with the appearance of snow, and those white jagged lines come down, swoop down on the mountaintops to create long extended U shapes, jagged U's of white that breaks up the greens and the dark greens and grays of that mountain. There are actually two mountains here with a hill in front of them further to the left. So as the trees broke up into the clearing and the mountain, the hill then furthered on to the right becomes what looks to be three separate mountain peaks. The further distant one is barely visible. It seems to fade into the night, the evening sky. The second one is taller, tallest of the three, and it is rounded at the top, not quite a peak, but slightly rounded, and a third one in front of it is slightly shorter than the tallest middle peak. Then, as you get more and more into the details, you can see the darker gray and white interspersion of the snow. You can see further off in the distance to the right is another mountain peak, quite a bit shorter from this angle than the three that we were discussing, but probably at a distance it is taller, but from our angle coming up, looking up from the lake bed, it looks to be shorter. And then a second really small peak of gray against the orangish sky is a very tiny peak, a cute little one that seems to be connected from our vantage point, connected to the first distant peak. And lastly, we see a third distant mountain peak that's taller than the other two and breaks up the dark sky, coming down again to the lake shore on the right. As the lake gets slightly closer to us, we can see distant trees that, of course, are green, but are so far away that the mist, the evening mist, has made them grayish green, more gray than green. And that'll, around that peninsula of grayish green, the water is choppy enough that you see some of the sky reflecting in it. So the lake scene is very calming and peaceful, and it is allowing us to have a very peaceful sense of tranquility as the ripples of life are mere ripples, and something that does not disturb the flow of life itself. We likewise need to concentrate on the larger scheme of life that flows. Rejoice in our times of happiness. Enjoy them. And let our minds be as tranquil as this mountain scene. I hope you have a good evening, a good night of sleep. I hope you're not hearing this, but I hope you are already asleep. May you have the blessing of God upon you and a restful night.